So Hytale released an NPC technical rundown, and I kind of wanted to go through it and see what the highlights are and what the important aspects of this are for the player and the modding community in general. I do want to say I'm not much of a modder myself, so a lot of these technical details are like, my eyeballs kind of gloss over and I don't understand what's going on. But I think it's really interesting that they release this whole entire technical rundown. They give NPC tutorials, 6 of them, and they want the generated NPC and they want certain roles. They say every NPC has a role as expression of their general behavior and how they'll react to different stimuli in the world. Changing an NPC's entire behavior set is as simple as changing its role, and we've provided a number of templates with customizable values that can be applied to creating a new PC quick and efficient. So it looks like they're trying to add that quick modification to an NPC. Maybe you want, a sheep to be absolutely crazy and powerful and attack you for no reason. Maybe you can just change that sheep's role or create a new role for that sheep. I think it's interesting to see how they want to do that. They have a couple videos showcasing that. And then the combat action evaluator. Role instruction lists already give designers a great deal of flexibility to configure their NPCs and implement combat behaviors. Crafting a character that makes more than a few basic attacks needs some sort of decision about when to use certain attacks quickly becomes cumbersome. The combat action evaluator exists to address these needs by offering a campaign framework to an NPC's central behavior that can make smart moment-to-moment decisions about its state, the state of the world around it, and its enemies or allies. Each possible attack or the combat action is designed a set of coordinations that designate the best time to use it. So it sounds like they're trying to make their NPCs a little bit smarter than your average Joe. They're trying to get those NPCs to, if something happens in the world, they react a certain way. So that way it's more of a flow instead of they're just swinging constantly for no reason, even if the player's not close. And it says, when HP is low, the enemy is close. When a player is trying to sneak around the back, these conditions are valued and each action is weighed against the others to determine the course of action an NPC wants to take. So it sounds like they're going to almost have a logic-based system, which could be really nice if you have, you have the ability to sneak around mobs. If you have the ability to, bypass certain mobs with certain actions. So, and the reality check is this all sounds pretty far along, right? Maybe we could even believe it was shippable. So they were talking about they wanted to get it maybe day 1, day 2, a couple weeks in. Well, no, there's still very many rough edges, missing features and areas, and a vast improvement. Just as we talked about the system can do, it's important that we talk about some major areas we're not quite there yet. And they say, with great power comes the need for great tooling. We're very far off the mark here. There are plans for visual editing and debugging, but right now the most NPC configuration is done directly is JSON files using the text editors. It's workable but painful, and though we provide variety of venues for debugging NPCs when it doesn't work as expected, none of them are intuitive and require reading through pages upon pages of detailed log files, which that's why I don't really like modding that much, is it's so much effort to make it work, and you have to go through pages of logs, which personally I can't do it. I'm so impressed with people that can mod. We are mentioning learning the curve associated with the combat action evaluator, but that applies pretty much everywhere when it comes to working with NPCs as well. We envision an easier and smoother onboarding into NPC modding, but at this stage we can only offer a limited number of templates as examples along with documentation, available templates and simple tutorials. So they're trying to give the player the simple things right now to get them to a base where they can further develop the tools behind it, so that way it's easier for new and upcoming modders. There are plenty of major missing features as well. NPCs don't position themselves as very well in combat. They don't use proper advance or flocking while flying. NPCs can land and take off. Swimming NPCs can't leave the water and vice versa. There's no end to the list of features we still need to add and to deliver the game we envision. Of course, it's early access. They're not going to have everything perfect, which I think is really respectable for them to release this and talk about where they are not struggling, but where they're trying to grow and what aspects aren't where they want them. So naturally, the potential for performance issues at balance. We can support a relatively large numbers of NPCs, but there's much work to be done making them more performative, particularly when it comes to pathfinding. We keep pathfinding off as much as we can, otherwise performance is likely to tank. So it does seem sometimes these NPCs kind of just mill about and they have no idea where they're going. And it looks like they're keeping the Pathfinder off as much as they can, otherwise the performance is likely to tank for the game itself, which that really need to fix, because some of these NPCs are just going nowhere. And they're talking about how many bugs they have. Many community members have pointed out the plethora of bugs that have cropped up in released gameplay footage. We are at our current development pace. Much of the footage is already outdated, and most critical of those bugs have already been fixed. However, I do specifically want to make a moment to talk about pathfinding, its challenges, and what likely to mean for release. So this is all of them talking about the release for the actual game. So it looks like they're trying to release the game quickly, maybe within the first 6 months, maybe to a year. I don't know. It seems like they're really trying to get it out quickly. So they're talking about what's next. Tooling is high up on our priority list. If we want to support modders properly, we need to give them the tools they need to make creating NPCs fun. This will include a full suite of debugging tools at first, but we'll put together what we can. So they're talking about giving the modders the tools they need. We also need to address the issues with pathfinding and movement while dealing with the technical debt to ensure that we're not creating performance bottlenecks when players face off against multiple NPCs in complex environments. There's a lot more we can improve on here to make combat feel enjoyable, even at this early stage. Adding more templates will also help to liven up the world a bit more, with both spoken behaviors introducing life to cultures of Orbis, many different species. There's also intended to serve future inspiration examples for modders seeking to create their own complex NPCs, or could be directly if their behavior fits. So they're trying to create a framework that allows modders to plug in and play with their mods and create systems that they don't have to create by scratch. So that way they can use what's already in the game and just tinker it, twist it, and get it to work in the system. So they have a list of debugging commands, and they talk about that. I don't really concern myself with that because I'm not currently a modder, but I think this is great for the game that they're releasing all of this information for you just on the blog. It came out yesterday. I'm sure some technical people are going to watch these tutorials. They're going to learn a lot, and they're going to start, messing around with these NPCs. And hopefully on the back end, it gets to the point where, even me as a person who's not really a modder wants to jump in and make an addition, make a change, and I can do it easily without having to spend hours and hours on, adding modifications. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And if you guys enjoy this type of review of the blogs, just let me know. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for watching.